Hello, hello. Should be up and going. How's it going? How's it going? A little bit more active out there for me today. So figured I would hop on here, being Thursday going into Friday. That would be the last watch list of the week. Anyways, so figure I'd give a an update here, how the week went. Finally had some opportunities and triggers. So had some opportunity out there today. Currently still in most of those positions, but we will run through those nonetheless. So starting off with SPY, being as a lot of these bigger picture moves was based off of, I think, a little bit of fear that's been in the markets. That 2-day pullback and steady grind higher. We had a fade all morning that half of it got reclaimed in like the last hour of the day. So looking for relative strength, relative weakness based on how SPY was trading today. Now where it is in its big picture daily is it's up near its highs, but it's not breaking out to new highs. So Hood, this one came on my radar from one of my pod members. He obviously had some price alerts set in those 107s. And once I pulled it up, I saw this little undercut and rally under this prior low, got saved, tightened up. The 10 and 20 moving average are rising. They're coming up right into here, so it's tight enough. I don't have those moving averages on this chart. This is my intraday chart. But I was looking for that 107 key line here looking left to break for an entry. And that came in pre-market, and this it's not gapping above the breakout level because the breakout level is 113. I'm looking at this 107 level as an early entry to the 113 breakout. So with my entry here in pre-market, it is gapping above that 107 level, but it's not gapping above the 113. So I don't deem this as gapping above the breakout. But I let it push, pull, and hold. So I scooped some there in the 107s, got full size risk off of like red to green, risking about $2 a share. And then once it pushed, pulled, consolidated, and then we got this opening range high daybreak, I added and moved risk up to low a day. Contemplated selling some. I was still on the desk here right into the 112s, thinking 113 is not too far overhead, that big picture daily level. But I decided I'm okay with the dollar risk I have, and I will either let it work or let it fail and try to let this one shape up. As you can see, it once it trends, it really likes to get moving. Where we had this flag breakout, flag breakout, flag breakout, flag breakout. And it tends to go for a few days before consolidating. So I think this still looks good for higher prices. 113 is still that level overhead, but it is coming into all-time highs at this point, and looks like it is trending really well. So currently still in that one. Navini, I put a starter on this one, not full size by any means, but we got this gap down, gap down, gap down, few red days, and then we got this first gap up. And if you look left, you can see this multi-bottom, and I was kind of looking at this from these lows to this low, and then it held here. So based off this action here, I put a starter on and just kind of swiped that volume candle. Wasn't really any sort of intraday pattern, just put a starter on with 5-cent risk down to 50 cents. And if it starts to come back to those 70s and 80s, then I've got, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an hour risk off of 50 cents. And by that point, I think that there should be a new risk level to use, and I should be able to pyramid into that one. I think the win rate on this is like 20 to 30% with this entry. But in the off chance that it does push, I don't hate this early entry idea there. JCI, still swinging this one. Put some on, a little add there into close. We got a gap up that was getting close to my average here this morning. It was trading in the 106s. And I wanted to see 106s on the watch list yesterday. I wanted to see it not reclaim those 106s. Prior resistance became prior support and broke. So I wanted to see all pops into those prior resistance levels in the 106s act heavy. And we were gapping up into that. And I much prefer a gap up into the resistance than a run into the resistance, because then you get some intraday demand, or when you're getting that gap into it, typically you get gap sellers, and it's just a lot easier and more straightforward of a pullback. So that gap up into the 106s was fairly short-lived, pulled back. We had a little bit, some higher lows, and then once these higher lows failed, it was steady lows the rest of the day, right back into those 104s that's been a key level the last 3 days. So I like the look of this candle, where you get the gap up into resistance and immediate sell. We've still got this higher low, bigger picture trend that I need to see give up. And if this gives up like 103.50s, I think 100 is in the cards rather quickly. So I think it was worth an ad. It looks like it's acting well. Once I got this fail, I wanted to see 106s act heavy, and I got that today, so I figured it was worth an ad. Given that I'm not watching this every tick, I don't like trying to assume that this is going to fail off of 106s, but now that it has, an ad into close for a possible gap down in 103's break, I think is in the cards, especially given this pullback and then this steady grind going into Friday, I think could unwind into Friday given the steady rally that's been here all week. So SPY's been continuing higher, and JCI is just not participating in that rally since the earnings fail. So if SPY inevitably pulls back, then I think that this one gets hit along with it. So yeah, and GV, that was my last trade. So I went over Hood, JCI, and Navini. I'm still in all of those. And then GV was the only one here. I took maybe a half to three quarter loss on this one. Just no volume on it. We got this big push. I chased the high a day break just because there was some volume I could use there to get an entry. So I chased the high a day break, and then was risking off of lows, and it didn't continue higher. That 220s level right here, this prior day high was key, but I felt like that early trigger there of the highs, if it was going to go green, it was only a couple cents from that 220 break, that trigger. So if it went, I felt like this was the highest EV spot if it was going to work. Now, obviously, it didn't work. The volume was very short-lived, and it fizzled out. So I took it off for a scratch. But currently still in those other positions, up on them all. So hopefully they continue trading in my favor. Mr. Jeff Golan, how's it going, guys? Good to see ya. Yeah, Spot was another one of those earnings losers. But you can see the difference here versus JCI, where this one participated in that rally since April. He had this negative earnings reaction, but as SPY is grinding higher, this one's reclaiming prior resistance and now becoming support and pushing higher, where GCI, prior resistance has continued as resistance and is looking to roll over. So I think that's a key factor to look for on the backside of some of those daily. So I'll hold Navini, basically either for 50 or 80, whichever one comes first. JCI, first target here will be that 100 psychological level, and then possibly into any sped up action to the downside. Not sure I can, it's riding the 10 and 20 moving average really nicely. It hasn't closed above it. Since this fail day, it's just topped out at it the whole time. So basically the inverse of those swing longs, where you're looking to swing until it closes below the moving averages, and this one you would technically swing until it closed above the moving averages. but I'm not usually that patient. The next key moving average, I don't have it. The 50 is quite a ways away. I don't have it on that chart right now. But yeah, 100 will be that first psychological level, and then getting into the 90s, would really like to see that. Maybe a gap fill here, something like that. But we'll see. Not going to count those chickens before they hatch. GV is fizzling out after hours. Technically, it is still in that liquidity trap setup, but this would just be one that I would set price alerts now at this point. It's not holding up as good as you would have liked. Open, I was contemplating this one today, but I wanted it to have an inside day today and then breakdown tomorrow would have been a lot better. Just when you get like a range day and then looking for another big range day on a breakdown, it just doesn't always happen. A lot of times these gaps and big moves, they need to tighten up and kind of churn some traders, maybe get a new shareholder base before picking its next direction. So big picture wise, I think the setup was there, but just how in which it happened, where if this was sideways today and then broke down under those 180s tomorrow, I think you would have gotten that 180 to 150 flush. Now it did pull back and close below the 20, so it still looks bearish, but I currently have no position in it, not really interested in trading that one. Hood we went over. IXHL, this one here hit scan, it's up 50%, starting to bounce and get going. Up quite a bit there into close, parabolic style. 60 was that prior support and prior resistance that became support multiple times. So I could see 60 acting as resistance, but what I'm watching for on this is for this to run another day and then maybe look to short this next week. But the closer it gets to $1, the more I would like it. There's just so much volume here stuck overhead that I don't think it can reclaim those levels. So higher the better. Ideally, like a clean multi-day run up into these resistance levels. And now you're on the back side of the daily, and could look for an overextension trade there. And then neg, the only other one that hit scan. I had tried trading neg on this day here on 7/31 through this double top. Had a great history of multi-day runs, and this day was the first breakout that didn't work. It sat back, but it's holding up right near its highs over under those prior key levels. Excuse me. So if this were to break prior bar highs, like a 63, 64 entry, risking that day's lows, or it could break this higher low trend line and I could take it off radar, but just looking for it to break outside of this pennant. It is fairly illiquid, so nothing I would size on like crazy, but I think I could give this like a B+, not quite A grade for a breakout just because of the volume, but the way it's setting up technically, like technicals speaking, is pretty decent. So IXHL, higher the better, up into prior daily resistance. Neg, I'd look to play a breakout, but a break of this pennant will tell me which way it wants to trend. Hood, looking for this one to continue higher. Not sure I really get too many more ads on it, but I will keep that one on watch. JCI, ideally this breaks 103s tomorrow, and along with the SPY, could sit back. If Hood could show some relative strength, and if SPY were to pull back, I'd like SPY to help JCI, but if Hood can hold relative strength because it hasn't participated in that pull with the rest of the market. So if this could show relative strength, if SPY were to pull back, I'd like to see that for higher. But JCI, I'd like to see 103s start to break down and pull back sub 100. And then Navini, just going to hold this until it either breaks 80 or breaks 50 and see which one we get first. So those are my plans going into tomorrow. I don't see a ton of questions or a ton of people really on here right now, so I will likely just hop off and leave it at that. So I hope you guys have a great trading day tomorrow. Have a great weekend. And I will see you guys in Investors Underground. Take it easy. Peace.